Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode, another installment of Color Mixing with Chris. I'm Chris Arpin, and we are here at Createx, and we are going to talk some more candy, and we are going to talk about base coats under the candy, the ground coat, and talk about how to tint candies and actually mix candies to achieve certain colors. So this is, again, an ongoing topic of discussion in terms of achieving certain colors, certain shades, especially with candies. And what's the easiest way to do it? What's the most repetitive, consistent way to do it? And an easy way to also change that candy, change the characteristics of the candy between mixing candies and also changing your ground coats. So in this little video, we're actually going to spend a lot of time spraying one color, and that's our Dirt Track Brown, our candy2o Dirt Track Brown. And we're going to show you guys how to take that Dirt Track Brown and change the values of the Dirt Track Brown just based on the ground coat, the base underlying color that you're spraying your candy over, and also how to change the actual strength or color of that candy by mixing some other candies with it. So if you guys are familiar with this, Craig Fraser did a video a couple years back and covered Dirt Track Brown. And actually, before we started doing this video, I kind of gave myself a refresher course on it just to see what Craig's theory was in terms of tinting and shading. We were kind of both on the same page, and I'm actually just going to add one other step in terms of making it a little less on the red side and actually making it darker brown. So we'll start with our candy neat. And when I say neat, I mean it's the candy straight up. So straight out of the bottle. If you guys are familiar with it, 40-50. That is our go-to. That's our carrier for our candy all the time. That's what we're mixing, especially with large gun, like what we have here. I'm going to use my Iwata Supernova. Anytime you're doing big gun spraying, even mini gun spraying, our 40-50 is our go-to. It's our recommended product to basically the vehicle to transport that candy to your project. So I have in front of me, I have 4 different substrate colors, right? Our bases, our ground coats. This is our 6013 Silver Sealer. So that's straight up, right out of the gun. I have our Wicked Metallic Gold. I have our Metallic Charcoal, our Wicked Metallic Charcoal, which is a really cool color. And I also, for this particular color, I mixed up a green base coat, essentially. So this is our Silver Sealer tinted with our Wicked Phthalo Green. So I basically went ahead and mixed Phthalo Green 2-to-1 with our Silver Sealer. So 2 parts Silver Sealer to 1 part Phthalo Green, and that gave us this green metallic. It's actually got a nice metallic look to it. When the light hits it, it's very similar to that kind of bling look in our Silver Sealer. So just tinting the sealer alone, you can do some pretty cool stuff. All right guys, booth is running. I got my mask ready to go. We'll start with the silver, and for all of these, I'm going to do 4 coats. All right guys, welcome back. While you guys were away, I went ahead, I did 4 coats over all 4 of these speed shapes. So you remember we had silver, gold, charcoal, and green. So those actually coincide with the samples I have in front of me. Now it's kind of hard to tell because this is a darker color. So I have the light here. You're definitely going to see a big difference. So what we'll do when we're all done with this, we're going to get these cleared up and we'll bring them outside. But you can see the root beer over the silver naturally is going to be the brightest, coolest, because it is silver, so that bright silver is going to definitely throw a colder cast over the gold. So now the gold should be a little bit warmer. All right, it's close to the silver. It's a little more subdued, and it definitely has a little bit of a warmer tone. And actually, the gold kind of works with the red that's in there to kind of bring out that warmer earth tone. The charcoal is definitely making it darker. The charcoal actually helps bring it towards more of that dark, kind of a root beer side. Definitely just in changing that ground coat, you can see the big difference between where the silver was in that charcoal, just a darker silver, essentially. And then last, we have that green. And that green definitely cancels out that red, and it definitely gives it more of that rich kind of chocolate root beer color. So compared to the silver, let's see if I can put these right on top of each other. You can most certainly see a massive difference in the silver really bringing out that warm cast, that warm redder tone, and that green cancels out that red and definitely makes it more brown. So again, this is kind of a good indication. We'll get these things cleared up. You'll see a huge difference if you guys know, like in terms of the candies. Once they're cleared, the clarity and the color really comes alive. So those were candy neat. Again, we talked about neat. So that means just straight out of the bottle. You can change the look of that candy depending on the ground coat, your base coat, essentially, what you put it over. So now we're going to go ahead and talk to what Craig Fraser talked about in his video, in the Candy Color Theory video, and that is actually mixing some candies with the candy to change the color. It comes in a little more handy if you guys are doing more airbrush work, or if you just want to have a certain ground base coat color, if you're doing multiple colors of graphics and you kind of want that one uniform base coat color and you want to have different candies over the top. It doesn't make sense to go ahead and have 5 different bases and then have to worry about changing each candy every time. So this is another way that we can kind of achieve the same thing and actually push this color really drastic. So we can go from that brownish kind of a mahogany color to more of a red tone, or we can push it more to a brown, like I talked about, like that chocolate tone. So with the colors that I have in front of me, we're going to talk about those mixtures. So again, the base is our 40-50. Again, that's your starting point. The 40-50 is that carrier for your candy. And so what I did was I took our Dirt Track Brown, which I believe is right here. This is the Dirt Track Brown. And I mixed it 6-to-1, like I typically do. That's kind of my go-to if you guys have watched a bunch of other videos I mentioned at the beginning. I went 6-to-1 with this Sunset Magenta. So it's an easy number, very even, very simple to kind of repeat, and it's actually right there on a majority of those mixing cups. You guys can get the easy mix cups. There's that ratio right there. It's 6-to-1. So you have 4-to-1, 5-to-1, all the way up to 8-to-1. So 6 parts, 40-50, 1 part Dirt Track Brown, and 1 part of this Sunset Magenta. And this is going to bring it to more of a warmer tone, a little bit more on the red side, and kind of have that, increase that translucency and that shade towards a red color without making it like blood red, where it really wash it out. So we're going to go ahead and do the exact same thing. I have these 4 substrate colors that we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to do 4 coats with the same gun, and we'll start spraying those in a second, and then we'll make a comparison. Hi guys, again, welcome back. We have the booth running. I'm going to go through the same exact order of colors. I'm going to do 4 coats with my Supernova. So this is coat number 1 over the silver. All right guys, welcome back. Just finished up putting the last and the 4th coat of that Sunset Magenta and Dirt Track Brown mix. So we're going to try to show you guys, really let you guys see the difference here. And again, we did say that getting these out in the sun, once these are cleared, the clear is really going to show the actual color, the depth of color and the vibrance over these base coat colors. But I'm going to try to show you guys. So this is the first one we did. This is the silver sealer with the Dirt Track Brown straight up, neat, right over that silver sealer. All right, and now this is the Sunset Magenta and Dirt Track Brown mix, 1-to-1, over the same silver sealer. So naturally, that Dirt Track Brown and Sunset Magenta mix is going to be much redder. And again, it's going to be kind of hard to see, but I think we'll be able to pick it up on camera. This is just going to have a much redder, kind of a shade or tone to it as opposed to the Dirt Track Brown. So you'll see a little bit more brown in the Dirt Track Brown, a little bit more red with that Sunset Magenta. So we went ahead and did all the rest of the speed shapes. It's the exact same way. All this is 4 coats. So it's 4-coat paint work. And we're going to go ahead now, and I'm going to talk about the other 2 mixes that I'm going to do. And again, these are, all of the same things. So silver, gold, charcoal, and that green silver mix. We talked about ratios. I'm going to actually show you guys what I'm talking about in terms of ratios. So the next one we're going to do is a Tequila Yellow and Dirt Track Brown mix. And just for the purpose of the video and to really show the stark contrast, I chose to do 1-to-1 each time. So I did Sunset Magenta 1-to-1 with the Dirt Track Brown. So I'm going to go Tequila Yellow 1-to-1 with the Dirt Track Brown. The last one, we're going to do the Emerald Green 1-to-1 with the Dirt Track Brown. And the reasoning behind that is kind of the same thing we talked about with having this green substrate color, the green base. This green is going to cancel. Green is the cancel to red. So the green and the emerald green mixed with the Dirt Track Brown should cancel out that brown or that red cast and really make it like a dark, dark, dark brown, kind of a chocolate color. So we're going to do that as well. So in the meantime, I'm going to show you guys exactly what it is I'm talking about in terms of the ratios. Now, we had a class here not too long ago, and believe it or not, a bunch of people were unfamiliar with using these mixing cups. These are real, real simple. There's ratios on the entire side of this cup. Everywhere from a 1-to-1 to a 10% mix to 2-to-1, 3-to-1, 4-to-1, 5-to-1, 6-to-1, 8-to-1, all the way up. And then you just have regular parts too to show you that you have in ounces. So for all these applications of candies, if you guys, again, I keep talking about other candy videos, 6-to-1 is my go-to every time for using a big spray gun. So even with a minigun, 6-to-1 seems to be a really nice middle-of-the-road ratio to allow a nice even coat of candy to go down, like a medium wet coat of candy, but not be so concentrated that you're going to struggle with blotchiness or striping. So right on this cup, depending on what you want to mix, if you go to this 2, that's at the 6 number, and you have 1 right after that, you're going to want to go to the 2. So any number that you decide to pick, you just go even numbers, right? So if you go to 4 here, you got to go to 4 here. If you go to 7 here, you got to go to 7 here. And that gives you your automatic 6-to-1 ratio all the time. So it's super, super easy, super consistent. It's an easy way to keep track of your ratios, even not just candies, any kind of a mix, if you're doing a custom base coat mix or anything like that. So like I said, for this video, we're doing 6-to-1. So I can very easily, because there's 6-to-1 I can go 6 parts candy, 6 parts 40-50, 1 part candy, and 1 part candy, and that gives me a 6-to-1. So it's a perfect breakdown, and because of that, I won't need to use reducer. Because we're adding a little bit more candy, it's going to skinny this down. When I say skinny, I mean just lower the viscosity of the candy. So it's going to be super easy to spray, super easy to mix, and I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. So I have some UVLS Gloss Clear. Make sure we shake this really well, and I'm going to go I'm going to go to the 5, because that'll give me right around just about 8 ounces of material when I'm done. So I'm going to go to the 5. I'm going to take my Dirt Track Brown, and I'm going to go to the 5 in that 1 column. And one of the things I want to touch on here is I always strain the candies all the time. So this is a 125 micron strainer. This is pretty much the thinnest, smallest kind of a strainer you can get for paints. 125 microns, real tiny, and it works extremely well for the candies. Because these are so thin in nature, you want to make sure that you always run these through a strainer, just because you get some sediment in the top of the cap, sometimes in the top of the lid, or just in a bottle in general. And it's easy way to make sure that you don't transfer that through your paint gun and even in your airbrush. If you guys do notice, a lot of times I am using a PPS cup, right? I'm using PPS cups all the time. These are 200 microns, so these are a little bit bigger than the 125. So I use the 200 microns because it's nice, kind of general, right in the middle of the road. It works well with all of our paints, but the candies are that much finer, so you're going to want to strain these. Now what you're doing is basically once you put them in this cup, this is cheap insurance just to make sure you don't have any kind of sediment in your clear. So instead of buying different lids or these come actually in different size microns as well, but it's a lot easier to just kind of keep one standard, and then it's easy to just get strainers instead. So like these are strainers I use specifically for the candies, nothing else, and these are just my general purpose strainers. So I'll go ahead and pour my Tequila Yellow in here. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go to that 1 part. So I go to the 5. So I went 6 to 1 to 1. And that's it. It's a done deal. So I'm going to go ahead and stir this up. And just as a general rule, you got to really make sure this is stirred too. If you can see in that, you can see all the clear that's kind of in the outside of that cup. You want to make sure all that's totally gone. So go ahead and stir the hell out of this. Make sure it's really mixed up well. Another thing you can do is, if you guys notice, I have a plastic mixing stick here. These are great instead of using a wood stick, because a wood is going to absorb some of your paint, some of your dyes. It's not super critical if you're just doing kind of a one-off thing, but believe it or not, if that starts absorbing some of the paint, it's going to throw that ratio off. It sounds crazy because it's such a small amount, but it will definitely affect ratio. So the plastic ones are great. There's a nice shape. They get into the corners of this. We're going to mix this up, and we're going to let it sit for about 10 minutes before we're ready to spray. So I already actually have some mixed up. It's been sitting on the bench, and we're going to get it loaded up in my gun, and we're going to start spraying. And then what we'll do is I'm going to go ahead and do the last ratio with that emerald green as well. Save you guys watching me spray, because it's the same thing. Everything is 4 coats, the same exact ratio over all these same colors. So we'll get them cleared up, and we'll get them outside in the sun, and we'll see you guys in a minute. All right, everyone, welcome back. When we left off, I was mixing the Tequila Yellow and the Dirt Track Brown. So I went ahead and did the Tequila Yellow and Dirt Track Brown 1-to-1 mixed, sprayed those out, and I also went ahead and did the last leg of this, last step, which was the Dirt Track Brown and the Emerald Green. So real quick, we'll just kind of give a rundown. These are actually cleared already, where the other ones weren't when we saw them, but this will give you a little better indication of what it is I'm talking about. So this is the Tequila Yellow, Sunset Magenta, Tequila Yellow and Dirt Track Brown, 1-to-1. So even parts, and then I mix that with 40-50, and that's 4 coats. This is over the 6013 Silver Sealer. So then we have the gold. This is the same mixture over metallic gold. And then we have our metallic charcoal. And you can see the charcoal is going to make it darker, where the gold is warmer and the silver is really bright. And this is over the green. This is over that green mixture, the Silver Sealer and the phthalo green. So you can see that that green kind of absorbs that red cast, that red shade, and this is definitely more brown out of the 3. So, real quick before we move on, I want to talk about what I did with the Emerald Green and Dirt Track. Now, I said the other 2, I said all the ratios were going to be the same, right? So we did an equal part 1-to-1 with the Dirt Track Brown, and then I did a 6-to-1 mix with the 40-50, and it was 4 coats. Well, because of the inherent nature of that Emerald Green, it's really, really strong. It's concentrated. I did my initial mix, and I wasn't happy. It kind of was really powerful to the point where it just kind of muted the color. So if you sprayed a little too heavy, or like kind of almost on the tipping point where it looked really good, and then one more coat to really make it nice, it almost goes black. So it kind of has that, almost like that murdered out effect, but it's real, real hard to see the color underneath. So I revised that mix, and I ended up going 4-to-1. So I did 4 parts Dirt Track Brown to 1 part Emerald Green. And then rather than doing a 6-to-1 with the 40-50, I went 8-to-1. And again, because it's concentrated, because it is such a rich color, if you guys have seen the other candy color theory videos that we've done, or just spraying candy in general, certain colors that are that concentrated fare better in terms of coating and spraying with a steeper mix. And when I say steeper, I just mean more 40-50 to less candy. So I just went from 6-to-1, I went 8-to-1. So now I have that in front of me, and you can really see this is over the Silver Sealer, and that is really, really brown in comparison to everything else that we've had, which kind of has a little bit of that red cast. So this is over the Silver Sealer. This is over the gold. And again, it's a little bit warmer. It does have a little bit of a red tint, but that's from the gold. But it's certainly the most brown out of everything we've had. And now this is where really, really makes a difference. This is probably my favorite. This is over the charcoal, the metallic charcoal. And that is an awesome looking, real chocolatey kind of a root beer color. And then the last one is over that green mix. And you can see it's definitely dark, but it certainly is a little bit darker on that scale. You probably could have maybe gone with 3 coats instead of 4, but it certainly has that color, but that green kind of absorbs a little bit more of that emerald green as well. So I think out of these 4, I think my favorite one is definitely the one over the charcoal. So we are going to get these guys outside. We're going to pick a couple ones that really stand out to us, and we'll let you guys see them in the sunlight, because again, that's like the best way to view these, really see the vibrance of that color. So we're going to get outside, get some sunlight, and we'll catch up with you in a minute. All right, guys, we are outside. It's a little windy, so kind of bear with me in terms of the audio. But we got a beautiful sunny day, and this is Dirt Track Brown, what we call neat. So this is Dirt Track Brown right out of the bottle at that 6-to-1 mixture, 4 coats. And this is over gold, our metallic gold, and this is over our metallic charcoal. So that's just a good contrast right there. Same exact color, just a different ground coat. Shows you what you can achieve in terms of brightness. Right? So the charcoal definitely turns it a little darker, kind of brings it a little more into the brown shade, where over the gold you're getting that warm kind of glow. It's a little more in the red shade. So that's neat, Dirt Track neat. So we'll go to the next one that we did, which was Dirt Track and Sunset, that 1-to-1 mix. So these are 2, again, this is a crazy looking color. It's awesome. This is over metallic gold, and this is over our charcoal. So again, I kind of grabbed these 2 because it's a really stark contrast. If you did over silver sealer, it's just gonna be a little bit brighter, a little bit colder than the gold. The gold, again, is just kind of warmer. And then, again, the charcoal really pulls out more of like a maroon, goes on that darker spectrum just because of the darker base coat color. So that's really, really cool colors. Now we have our Dirt Track mixed 1-to-1 with Tequila Yellow. So this is over gold again. Again, really, really cool. This is over our metallic charcoal. And this is over that green mix that I did. So again, seriously different colors, same exact candy, just with that ground coat. Really, really cool, I think, what you're able to get. All right, and this is the last of our color set, and this is the addition of that emerald green, and you can really see that big major shift to that brown. So this is actually the emerald green and Dirt Track Brown over silver sealer. This is the only time I grabbed the silver, just so you could see exactly what I talked about in terms of warm and cold. So this is silver sealer, and this is metallic gold right there in the middle. So big difference, metallic gold, silver sealer. You really see that red come out from the gold. It's a little bit warmer. We're losing a little bit of sun. Hopefully we can get this. And this is the last one, and this is our metallic charcoal with the emerald and Dirt Track mixture over that. And I think that is awesome. That is really root beer, really chocolate brown shade. So again, all the same candy, just tinted a little bit and a different ground coat. So for Createx Colors, this is Color Mixing with Chris. I'm Chris Arpin, and we'll see you guys next time.